What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to After the Snap. I'm your host, Tasha Pierce. Yeah, I just jumped on here on some impromptu ish because I miss talking to y'all, and I got some things to say. Right, there is always there's always something to say, but yeah, today I just really want to. We could pass on some information, but I just want it to be a loose chat. I want to kind of rant about the state of affairs in our wonderful country without, pointing fingers, placing blame. We're here where we are right now. And what do we do now that we are in the position that we are? There is so much to talk about. For instance, over there in Ohio, and I can't remember the young man's name. I apologize for that. Um, 90 shots. Gee, really? Like who are you shooting at? Did y'all think that he was like Clark Kent, Superman? Did you think he had superhuman strength? Why did it take 90 shots? So yeah, there was that terrible, terrible situation where the police, of course, had to or used what I would consider excessive force when attempting to detain somebody, or really not even attempting to detain them. They basically committed a murder. But that's neither here nor there because I know that's going to be basically the way you see it. Perception is reality, right? Um, Also, we saw this week Brittany Griner go to court for like one of the first times that she's gone to court. She finally got her day in court. And, they're saying, okay, we set a trial date. It's pretty much if she goes to trial in Russia, if you don't know who Brittany Griner is or the situation that I'm talking about, Brittany Griner is a WNBA player, arguably the best WNBA player that we have. Um, yeah, so she is the epitome of a female basketball player, right? She, because of the wage disparity that exists in the United States, NBA players are making stupid money, and the WNBA players barely have enough to go to get by. So what they have to do in the off season is go overseas to try to compensate for the lack of money that they make in the United States. So they go overseas to play in another country. Brittany Griner had been going to Russia, where I think they said that she makes 3 or 4 times the amount of money that she would have that she makes in the United States. So she goes over there in her off season and plays. This particular season, she goes over, she's walking through the airport. It seems like a pretty much cut and dry deal, but she gets pulled to the side by their airport security. Her bags are her bags are searched, and airport security says that they found a cartridge for a vape that contained hashish, which is like marijuana. And of course, that is illegal in Russia. They don't play the weed thing. They don't play bringing in contraband. I get it. I got it. It's good. Nobody else was able to examine this vape cartridge to see that it really did contain this hashish oil. And as a matter of fact, it took a long time before Brittany Griner was even able to get in contact with the uh, the United States embassy over there. And then, when doing so, even still, uh, they were having hard times facilitating conversations between Brittany Griner and her family back in the United States. So there is a whole lot with that as well. And even if she stands trial, which she has gotten a trial date, even if she stands trial, 9 times out of 10 they're going to find her guilty, and that is punishable up to 10 years in a Russian prison. And I am like, look, if this were any NBA player, and I know I've used this argument before, if this was any NBA player, Um, I think this country would go out of their way to try to bring that individual home. But we're not just talking about any player in the WNBA. We're talking about someone who is arguably the best player in the WNBA. She is their LeBron James. So imagine LeBron James, first and foremost, not being able to make enough money to sustain his lifestyle here in the United States. So now he has to go overseas to play in another country and they detain him. Do you not think that there would be no stone left unturned to bring LeBron James home? Why can we not get that same energy when we're talking about a female player? And it's not just in basketball that we are seeing these situations. We've seen a situation, and of course, this is during the Trump presidency. So Biden wasn't in office, but during the Trump presidency, Lord have mercy, during the Trump presidency, hey there, Reinhardt, missed you too, buddy, missed you too. Yeah, but during the Trump presidency, ASAP Rocky went over to Sweden and got in some kind of trouble. Can't remember particularly what, but Trump and his cabinet, they negotiated for his return, right? They've done the same thing when it came to LiAngelo Ball. Remember him? College player, not even an NBA player, college basketball player, goes over to China and shoplifts. Now he's sitting in a Chinese prison, Lord, or Chinese jail. And the Chinese don't play. They wasn't playing with LiAngelo. So LiAngelo went over there doing stupid stuff that he would have done in the United States and probably got a slap on the wrist. But over there, they serious about theirs, right? So they locked LiAngelo up. And again, the Trump White House negotiated for the return of LiAngelo Ball. But here it's been what, 4 months, and Brittany Griner is still sitting in a Russian jail awaiting a sham trial in a kangaroo court. Are you serious? So we can see the difference in the way women are treated in the way men are treated. And I'm not trying to beat the dead horse. I'm saying that eventually she's going to be sentenced, and then they're going to throw her in a real gulag, right? And it's not going to be fair to her or her family that she is caught up in what is summarily politics at this point. It's not even about right or wrong. I believe that she is basically a political prisoner in Russia, and I think it's time to bring Brittany Griner home. And I think I need to say that a little bit more often because, we was like, save Britney Spears, and we were all behind all of these other movements. But there's not enough conversation going on about the situation that Brittany Griner is in. And I don't have a huge audience, but I will at least attempt to mention her situation until she's brought home. So there is that. Reinhardt, since I got you here, or if you're still here, I don't know for sure. I finally got around to watching Handmaid's Tale, Guy, and it was fantastic. I watched it right before the Supreme Court pulled their little trick that they pulled, and and it was so timely for me to have watched it when I did, because it was like I finished it, all 4 seasons, and then the next thing you know, the Supreme Court did what they did. And again, it reminds me of art imitating life. It reminds me so much that we are just a hair away from being Gilead right here in the United States if we allow it. Now, Reinhardt says, if Brittany Griner was a male player from the NBA, they would move heaven and earth. But to me, I find it hard to believe that her being not only Black, but openly gay. So, and he said, that's my honest feeling. I just feel like people, I'm let me see. Part of my screen is blocking the rest of your comments, sir. Let me see. I got to make my screen smaller. Oh, here it is. You said, that's your honest feeling. I just feel like people in general, as well as our government, aren't really going out of their way to get her back. Right. Now, David, hi there, David. Long time no see. Glad you could join me. Uh, David says, I've been to Russia. 70% of the population is female. Some areas more. Men are entitled and can do no wrong. And, that's the way it is in patriarchal societies. And I will say that probably Russia is almost definitely far more patriarchal than the United States, but the United States is not half stepping. The United States is trying to get back to being that kind of patriarchal society. And I don't know why. Why are we taking these steps backwards? And as a matter of fact, because I said this is going to be very loose conversation, I don't have a whole lot prepared. I got some links in the description if you're interested in things that I hope that we get to talk about. But in the in the spirit of conversation, I'm just gonna riff a little bit. One of the things that is kind of bothering me about the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. And it doesn't affect me personally as much. I'm past the childbearing age and all of that. So it doesn't affect me. But then I've got nieces. I've got my son's little girlfriend. I got family. Don't worry about that, David. I've been off myself. I've been just in a blah, in a blah. So welcome to the show. Um, what the heck was I saying? Oh, so there are people in my life who this affects heavily. And it could affect me in ways. Um, so I was like, I can't believe that we are taking these steps backwards as a society. And then I was thinking, because they made this such a blanket rule, all the things that could go wrong. And I know a lot of people have already spoken on all the things that could go wrong. And then the fact that who cares whether stuff is going right or wrong? If I am a pregnant woman and I don't feel like I'm going to be a good parent, but circumstances, situations, I didn't got pregnant, it's probably in the better interest for me to uh if I choose to terminate that pregnancy, it's probably in the best interest of me and the child that I do that. Because you find in society now, especially, so many women who wanted the child until the child was here, and then they like, I don't want this kid anymore, and they neglect the kid or they hurt the child. In worst case scenarios, the child comes up missing. And this all could be avoided especially if it's a person who is self-aware enough to know that I should not have a child. Then also there's this 10-year-old girl. Let me pick this comment from Reinhardt up before I talk about this little girl from Ohio again. Same place we talked about the shooting. Now we're going to talk about this little girl. But Reinhardt says, Tasha, I got a lot to say on this. Number one, a lot of the people who are pushing this kind of garbage are the same people who thought was against their rights to be asked to wear a mask. Absolutely. But they have no problem telling a woman what she can and cannot do with her own body. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. I agree. It is absolutely shocking that in the in the vein of we have to protect the rights of children. The children protect the right of life or whatever. Okay, so here's a situation. Since we are all about the kids, right? There's a 10-year-old little girl from Ohio who was the victim of being sexually abused by a member of her family, and she lives in Ohio. Who Ohio's rule is we don't give a abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Here we have this little 10-year-old girl who fell pregnant from this sexual abuse. She goes to have her try to terminate this pregnancy because you're usually about 6 weeks when you find out you're pregnant, most of the time, right? So she finds out she's pregnant. They go to try to terminate this pregnancy, and she was 6 weeks and 3 days. And the Ohio doctors were their hands were tied. They could not help this child. They could not perform this procedure and stay within the law. So now it's looking like Ohio is saying, well, shit, she got to have that baby. Now, fortunately, Indiana has not started doing this overturning of Roe versus Wade just yet. You know it's coming because Indiana's a red state. It's also, but this little girl had to make a road trip to go to Indiana to have this procedure done, and she was a victim. So now she's been victimized again, and she's been. It's just a big traumatic situation for a 10-year-old girl, and it's sad. But this is the type of thing that happens when we have blanket policies where there is no exception. I don't disagree with people who are pro-life. That's their choice. They choose that, and even if whether it's their religion or whatever, that's their choice. What I say is your choice or your religion should not trample on me being able to make a choice. And uh, that's where we are. We have a 10-year-old child, and all of this happens, and this becomes a circus surrounding her situation. It's terrible. I'm picking up David. David said, I would choose life, but that's my choice. Women shouldn't be punished by law for making that choice. I agree. And that's what I'm saying. You don't have to be pro-choice. You don't have to be pro-life or pro-choice. What I'm saying is everybody should have the wiggle room, the latitude to make those types of personal decisions themselves. Hey, Clarence, it's been a long time, sir. Glad to see you in the place. Reinhardt says, yeah, both of the fifth column, I watch his YouTube channel. Oh, Bowl of the fifth column? I don't know. I watch his YouTube channel all the time. He brought this to my attention earlier today. It's very sad. It is. It just, it's unnecessary. Let these people do what's best for them and their family, their situation, and then we can go on from there. But yeah, all of this gatekeeping on people's bodies and stuff, it's just bothering me. No, the rights are just being trampled upon. And then we had several politicians, and of course Clarence Thomas, who is a justice on the Supreme Court, come out and say some things that are basically almost threatening that there's more to come. And I don't want to see us devolve further as a society, as a country. But this is the track that we're headed on. So in happier news, we got a couple more looks of Wakanda Forever. And I'm not saying we got looks at any of the details of the movie, just looks of the characters. So we see in this one we got Shuri and Okoye, and then in this photo, which we got, this is not, oh gosh, this is not Namor. This is his right hand man. What is it? What is his name? Amato? What is his name, Reinhardt? Do you know what that guy? Atuma? Atuma. That's his name. So this is these are our looks at what these characters are going to look like in Black Panther. I thought that was a pretty interesting piece of news today. Of course, we still have the argument going back and forth about whether or not we should recast T'Challa. Um, it's good to have the conversation going, I guess. All publicity is good publicity until it's not. And we'll get to that when I start talking about Ezra Miller again. Again. And yeah, so all publicity ain't good publicity if you're Ezra Miller. um, let me see. Reinhardt says over here, there's some states that are trying to introduce legislation to ban birth control. That was one of the things that I was talking about that would be next. Uh, I have a question. Why? I mean, are we seriously getting close to the Handmaid's Tale? The problem is, and I said it, I don't know how long ago, in January or so, President Biden made a statement to the fact that people need to have more children because the economy and all the all of the cogs in the wheel of the machine that is the United States of America, that is capitalism, can slow down to a grinding halt because the younger generation is waiting longer to have children. So the women, a lot of them are waiting till they're in their 30s, and the men as well. There's a lot of guys who are like, well, shoot, I'll wait till I'm 30 something. I want to have this accomplished, or I want to visit these places, or I want to get this out of my system before I start having kids. So Joe Biden, way back in the beginning of the year, asked or pretty much stated that we needed to see more children being born in the United States for that reason. So now, what is happening? And I'm not saying this is Joe Biden's fault, but I'm saying that if Joe Biden recognized it, other politicians recognize it too, and they don't want to stop the machine. So if they can't get you to have these babies one way, we'll get you to have them another way. I'm sorry. I know that I don't have a whole lot to substantiate that, but me sitting at home and thinking, but that makes sense. 6 months ago, you're asking us to have kids, but not me because I can't. But 6 months ago, you're asking the young folks to have kids. They didn't. They're not. They're waiting. And then 6 months later, okay, well, you can't have an abortion, and we're going to take away contraceptives. We're going to take away gay marriage and some gay rights. There's a whole lot going on. So if they're doing all of this, of course there's going to be more children born. Of course, So, if you guys want to discuss some more, we can come back to it. David says, is Black Panther in this or a spinoff? Have no clue. We have no clue what or how the MCU is going to handle the death of Chadwick Boseman. Now, there are a couple of schools of thought. The one school of thought is just make somebody else altogether Black Panther, another character altogether. Second school of thought is recast T'Challa, recast the Chadwick Boseman situation, and number three, at least the three that I can think of, the third school of thought to me is bring a version of T'Challa from the multiverse into this universe, and then have that person sitting in the space of T'Challa. Technically, he is T'Challa. He's from another dimension, so he's basically being recast, but it keeps everybody happy. And those are to me, the schools of thought that that we can have. Now, if anybody else has a different way that it could be handled, let me know, because I'm interested in all ideas of how that thing can be handled, because it's a situation we never found ourselves in the MCU until Chadwick Boseman passed away. And then now we have to decide what to do next. What's next with this character? Yeah, it's an interesting prospect of what they're going to do with it. Reinhardt says, "What has Ezra Miller been in the news lately?" Yeah. Yeah, quite a bit actually. And Ezra Miller, this new situation that was just spoken about, maybe was it last week I heard about it. It was a Variety article, and I'm going to pull that article up, talking to the young lady in Iceland that Ezra Miller had choked that one time. She spoke out first for the first time about this. And then there was another young lady in Germany who had a bad experience with Ezra Miller. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Um, Dave says these policies are not Biden's agenda. No, but in a capitalistic society, Joe Biden has spoken. He said, "You know what? We need people to have children. The rate of childbirth has stalled to this and this, and he had his numbers and his figures, and he knew all his stuff, right? So he knew all his stuff, and if he had that figured out, so does Republicans. It doesn't even necessarily have to be Republicans. So do other lawmakers. So, and if these people, the young people, are not voluntarily having children, then to me, their solution is to force them to have children. Of course, it is an effed up solution, but this is what it looks like is happening. And of course, there will be more fallout to this whole thing as well. Thank you, David, for saying you like that solution to Black Panther. Yeah, we could pull anybody. Heck, I can be the Black Panther if you go in the multiverse. Heck. um, Reinhardt says this whole situation, I say that because it's not funny because they are having some kind of breakdown. Right. And I'm not 100% sure. We could say they're having a breakdown, or we could say they're having they have mental health issues, because this is going all the way back to 2014. And I mean, if we're going back that far, you think about it, that's when they got cast as Flash, all the way back in 2014. So if this has been going on for 8 years, this is not a breakdown. This is a situation where this individual needs needs medical intervention because they have some kind of problem, probably, that is not either not diagnosed or untreated. And the behavior becomes more and more erratic the longer they are not medicated. So yeah, it's bad business. Horrible thing to think that somebody as young as Ezra Miller is having these kinds of issues. But at the same time, um, is it an excuse for some of this stuff? I mean, some of this stuff we have to say Ezra Miller is old enough to know right from wrong. Um, Reinhardt says, I agree with you, Tasha, and I fear for both Ezra and this young lady's welfare. And if it was just one situation, Reinhardt, I guess I could say, oh, Ezra Miller's a young guy, and this is just one situation. But there are so many of these situations now. I'm wondering, are people piling on, or is Ezra Miller really just a menace to society? Is Ezra Miller just a freaking supervillain? What is it? So yeah, I I hope that we get to find out what's going on with Ezra, and I hope that if it turns out to be some type of mental illness, that they get help. Um, oh, and there was a going back to the my body my choice thing. Google is saying that they are going to cooperate with women in them going to these clinics, it's going to delete the visit history for abortion clinics and other medical websites. I believe that that should have been done anyway due to HIPAA. You know, sometimes you might not want people knowing that you went to the doctor, but if you got your location on or something, they know exactly where you are and when you're there. And yeah, so I think it's a good idea um, that they're doing this. So, in the wake of U.S. Supreme Court's Roe versus Wade overturn, Google said Friday that it will not retain data on those who visit abortion information and clinics' websites. The company said it would quickly delete location history for people who visit abortion websites and other medical stops. And they said they are announcing that if their systems identify that someone has visited one of these places, they will delete those entries from location history soon after they visit. So that will stop the people telling, because you know they had put the bounty, was that here in Texas, where they had put a bounty out on people? If you know somebody that's trying to have an abortion, you tell on them and we'll give you, I think it might have been $10,000. So that will stop those kinds of things from happening. Yeah, this is definitely feeling real Handmaid's Tale. We got to see how this thing continues to play out. Um, yeah, it's pretty bad. Um, let me see. Yeah, Clarence. They say no birth control, but Clarence says, I bet they'll never say no to condoms. And also, if a lot of these politicians will put a restriction on somebody else that they won't observe in their family, because if their 10-year-old daughter came and said, hey, Uncle so and so touched me inappropriately, and then they end up pregnant, they gonna move heaven and earth to make sure that their child is taken care of. And in this situation with this young girl, the 10-year-old that's in Ohio that ended up pregnant, they had to go across state lines, and there will be another young girl, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, who gets pregnant. And what happens when this whole thing takes effect over the entire country? What happens then? These 10 and 11 and 12-year-old girls being forced to have babies when their little bodies are not prepared for that type of trauma. And so many young girls, so many of them, when they have babies at these very young ages, unfortunately, we know people that this has happened to. They could die in childbirth. That's number one. So this child is dying so another child can live. And then number two, if they don't die, they have been forced to have hysterectomies, because not because we don't want you to get pregnant again, but because the trauma when they have this baby, the trauma that is done to their reproductive system leaves their reproductive system incapable of sustaining another pregnancy. And it could be a situation where this young girl again could lose her life. It's a terrible, terrible no-win situation. Reinhardt says, Tasha, I totally agree. Young lady at my job. No, he said, Tasha, I totally a young lady at my job about this. She's kind of a surrogate daughter. She said to me, it'll never happen. And I said, it's going to happen. Yeah. And that's one of the sad things. Sometimes people think if we just sit around, everything will work itself out. But no, you got to put forth effort. And a lot of people, a lot of people's answer when people say, well, what about if somebody, if, people who have been sexually attacked, or people who, what about married couples who don't want more children? What about all of those situations? Instead of always going in their mind, well, they always go in their mind to, well, you shouldn't have sex if you don't want a baby, or one of the repercussions of having sex is getting pregnant. But that's not always, it's not always an unwed party this is happening to. Or it's not always just some pleasure seeking old little hussy, as if the men, like I couldn't, it takes two to tangle. I'll put it like that. It takes two to tango. So I couldn't have all of this illicit fornicative sex if it wasn't a guy joining in with me. But he doesn't get this responsibility. In fact, he can walk away at any given time. And I'm still stuck with a baby. What the old folks said, mama's baby, papa's maybe. Yeah, that's the situation. But anywho, and David says, you said it, Tasha, devolution is it's devolving. Yes. Yes, sadly. Sadly. I'm so tired of it. Now, one of the things that I guess I'm trying to move on again to happier topics. Uh Remember the dude Taron Egerton that played in Rocket Man? Rocket Man star Taron Egerton is revealing that he has been chatting with Marvel execs about taking on a role in the next in the next well he has talked about taking on a role in the MCU. Okay, so this is via Deadline, of course. Oh, and thank you, David. Excellent point. I appreciate it. Uh-oh. I got the wrong. Let's see. I got the wrong one sharing. Let's share the right one. So yeah, via Deadline, I'm getting this information. BB, you said, where do I see myself after 6 years and 5 months? In 6 years and 5 months, I will be 55 years old. So and hopefully I have a whole handful of grandchildren by that time, and that's what I'm doing, enjoying my time with the kids. What are you gonna be doing, BB, in 6 years and 5 months? But anywho, and while I'm waiting on BB to answer the question that they posed to me, uh, we'll talk about Taron Egerton. Taron Egerton has revealed that he has been in talks with Kevin Feige and other Marvel Studio executives about taking on the role of Wolverine, previously brought to screen by Hugh Jackman. The Rocket Man star told the New York Times about his desire to pick up the baton from Jackman and play the character central to both the X-Men and Avengers franchises. Egerton said, I don't think it would be wrong to say to say that. I'd be excited, but I'd be apprehensive as well because Hugh is so associated with the role that I'd wonder if it'd be very difficult for someone else to do it. And it's one thing, I guess, in if the actor is behind this individual taking this role. If the actor is saying you can have this role, I'm done with it. I've done everything that I can with this role, and I'm moving on to something else, other aspects of my in my career. Okay, I just feel like there is a difference between the Chadwick Boseman passing and Hugh Jackman saying, I don't have a lot to do with this role anymore. I the whole arc just ran itself out after Wolverine and Logan. He did so much with the character. There's nothing else that needs to be done by Hugh Jackman. He said goodbye. And if he shows back up as Wolverine from a multiverse or whatever, I'm here for it. But at the same time, yeah, let's move on. This is not the Fox people or Fox X-Men. These are the MCU X-Men. So let's get it. Let's see what what is it? Taron Egerton. Let's see what he can bring. He might be just as beloved as Hugh was in the role. David said 55 is the new 30. Oh Lord. I don't know. This whole 40 How old am I? 49? 49. Feel like the same old 49. Reinhardt said, Tasha, I'm just going to give you guys this story. I graduated in 1986. My senior year, one of the football players and one of the cheerleaders were dating. That's normal. I know it's got to be more than the story, Reinhardt. uh, like David says, I always go to your last name, David. I don't know why I do that. David said, would have to be a young Wolverine. Let's see how old Taron Egerton is. Now, the last place I remember him being was in what is it? The Rocket Man movie. He played Elton John. Yeah. A young Elton, of course. Uh, so yeah, he's a young guy, 32 years old. Yeah, he's a young man. Very good looking. Uh Yeah, I think he can do. I think especially from this one picture, and I'm going to pull this picture if I can, make it bigger so that you can see that he probably would be a fantastic, uh, a fantastic Wolverine. Actually, I'm looking at the look. He looks really. He's got the definitely has the look for it. See this picture right here of him, where I've got the cursor. That to me, oh, I don't know if you can see it over there. Let's see. Oh, you can't see it. But the picture all the way on the right, that to me is a good picture that demonstrates that he can be a pretty darn good Wolverine. And he could play it for about another 15, 20 years, even. So, yeah, young Wolverine. I think he's gonna make a very good looking Wolverine. Um, okay, Reinhardt is finishing his story here. Reinhardt said the thing is, he was black, she was white. Her father was a minister who preached fire and brimstone about everything. They were also very financially well off. Never will forget, she went to Bible camp, but it's strange. Nobody else from the school at that camp saw her. I later found out through a friend that she had a situation that had to be taken care of, and the pastor was well aware of this. So the rich and powerful will always have the resources to take care of things like this. Exactly. And it's also, it's easy to stand up and preach that fire and brimstone. The church that I belong to as a youngster, um, our pastor was very against. He was very homophobic, and he at that time, so was I. And I can't deny it because that is what was hammered into my head. He was. I went to a church that was predominantly white, so this pastor hammered it in my head that is a lifestyle that is an abomination to the Lord. You want to burn an everlasting fire and have all kinds of horrible things happening to you while you're down there burning. Go ahead and try to be gay, or even uh, you can't go out on dates without a chaperone because you can't kiss, because kissing leads to other things. And if you do those other things, then we will be fornicating. And if you're fornicating, then you're going to end up in the same little burn up place that you would if you were gay. Okay. Years later, newspaper article. I had stopped going to the church by then. I was probably in my 20s. Who do I find out that got picked up at this little area it's an area in Indiana that's known to be a place where male sex workers pick up their johns. And guess who got caught up in a sting trying to pick up a male sex worker? That preacher, my homophobic, scared me to death, made me feel like any impure thought was going to send me straight to hell. Yeah, him. Later, his son took over the presidency of the church school, right? So he was basically the principal of the church's school, which I wanted to go to the church's school. I wanted to hoop for my church. But my daddy was like, no, no, no. He didn't want me to become a Jesus freak. So this guy who and the pastor's son was my age. What he do? He fell in love with an 11-year-old student at the Bible school, at the school, and took her on the run with him across the country, having sex in all of these different motels with this little 11-year-old girl, because he had been so repressed, and he's not married, and he doesn't know how to function with an adult because he's never learned to function with the opposite sex as a teenager. But this is the church. This is what I grew up with. David says they take care of their own and nobody else has the same right. Yeah, because you won't even find out about it unless you dig for it. And Reinhardt says, let me guess, Tasha, his story was probably, I was out there trying to save some souls. We had a similar thing happen, only it was a city councilman. So, no, he didn't. He literally, when this stuff went down, he did own up to it, and he stepped down as pastor. So now he stepped down as pastor. It put his son-in-law in line to be the pastor. It put his son in line to be the principal at the school. And soon as he gets in as a principal, this thing happens where he falls in love with the little girl. So I mean, this is how I'm not saying that this lifestyle is not sustainable. If you did not choose this lifestyle, it can be horrible. You can't, and I'm not, I don't want to knock anybody's religion, because like you said, David, is insane. But again, what you have been sweeping under the rug, eventually it's going to come out, just like you guys said. It's going to come out. And when it does, boy, it gets ugly. So anyway, Taron Egerton, I'm looking forward to seeing what that young man does with this Wolverine role, because I think he's a handsome cat, and I think that he's got the chops to do a pretty good job with the role. So let me see. I'm trying to highlight the ones that I've already talked about so I can see where I'm at on this list. Hey, this Minions, The Rise of Gru. This opening weekend of this one they talking like crazy amounts of money. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck happened with Lightyear then? And I know, it's a political thing as well in some ways. And in other ways, there are people who were very supportive of Tim, what is his name? Tim Allen. They were very supportive of Tim Allen in the role. I think I'm saying that right, in the role. And some people just didn't want to go see it because it wasn't him voicing the character, and then other people didn't want to go see it because it's too woke. Okay, so Reinhardt said he watched Taron Egerton in Rocket Man. He was phenomenal. He had no idea that kid had acting chops like that. Yeah, the little dude, he got the goods. David said he'd do a good job as Wolverine. I certainly hope so. And I can't wait till we start rounding out some more Avengers, and see who else they cast in these. I'm going to guess that they would be highly coveted roles. I'm wondering, though, how long do y'all think the MCU machine can go on? Let me know in the comments if you think that we are nearing the end. Will Taron Egerton be able to play the role of Wolverine for, say, 15 years and still have the same level of commitment from Marvel MCU fans? Let me know if you think that that's possible, that we'll continue this trend with Marvel being the big name in the box office. And before we talk about that, while I'm waiting on anybody to respond, Minions: The Rise of Gru is suited up for 200 million worldwide through Sunday. Now I'm thinking, what the heck? It's usually those Pixar movies from Disney that this breaks the box office as it comes to kids shows or family type movies. And this situation is something altogether different, isn't it? These kids really, or their parents maybe, they really came out for this Minions movie, but they did not bring their children to the Lightyear movie. Let's pick up comments. I see I got some here. Reinhardt said, I think we're already starting to get fatigue. I will say I'm absolutely in love with Miss Marvel. It's a great show. I just felt okay about Moon Knight. Ooh, Moon Knight was the one I really liked. But then, of course, I would, because, it does put a spotlight on a mental health issue. And I just like the fact that, again, you got art imitating life. Somebody can identify with the situation, and it was tastefully done. Um, David said it's possible if the studios run with it. Yeah, we can see that it's been profitable, and it hasn't lost a tremendous amount of quality over the, what is it, 14 years now. But I'm wondering if will we see another 15 years? Will it still be the same? Clarence said, there are so many stories to mine. It's going to keep going indefinitely, like the comics. And I hope so, because, as time moves on, my little grandchild will grow to be a big grandchild, and the same things that my son and I talk about and enjoy doing together, our moments that we have together is pretty much around sports and movies. And this would be another way to kind of pass the baton on to the next generation. I hope that we are not getting tired, but I do think that it's something to consider, that maybe people will stop supporting these movies in such a big way, and they'll have to scale them down. We'll see. Reinhardt said, if you can see me, I got my hand raised right now. uh Clara says Miss Marvel is fantastic, and I am loving it. And let me tell you, like, I don't know if anybody was here the first time besides Angus. Angus was with me, I know, when I was talking about my first time watching Miss Marvel, and I didn't know what the partition was. So they brought it up in the show, I was like, what the heck is the partition? And it made me actually do some real world research, trying to see exactly what it was. I had no idea that was a thing, that thing happened. And this past episode shared just a little bit more light on it, just in case you haven't seen it. I won't spoil it, but it shared just a little bit more light on it. And I was like, I like how they are interweaving this. First, you're getting a great look at a Muslim family living in America, and you're getting a look at how they behave at home and at the mosque. And it's not very much different than we do, as far as being Christians or Buddhist or whatever. Your home life kind of looks the same, except the way you worship. And to me, it takes the fear out of people seeing Muslims and thinking, automatically thinking something terrible, terrorist or whatever. There was a video that my son showed me the other day, and it sent me on a rant. I was ready to cry. The young man in the video was crying. He was, I can't say he was Muslim, but he was kind of a brown and bearded, and he and the party that he was with on a Delta Airlines flight He spoke another language, and the rest of the passengers said they felt uncomfortable because these people had spoken another language, and the airline kicked these two men off of the flight. Now there were other brown people, and those other brown people were saying, I don't like what you're doing. This is setting a bad precedent. This is not. This is actually racist. Those people still kicked those young men off of that plane, and I was in tears because a little part of me says, "Well, that we go to other countries and we go and we can speak language or speak our language to them." For instance, we watched that happen as Ms. Marvel went over to Pakistan, and everybody could speak English. We go to their countries and expect them to speak our language. But when they come to our country, they have to learn our language, but they don't want to lose theirs. So instead of us saying, you know what, if I'm so offended or if I'm so afraid that somebody's plotting around me, why don't I learn to speak their language? No, 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 no. It's too easy to say, I don't know what he's saying, so you got to go. And I just, it hurt my feelings. I didn't like it. Those young men did not deserve to be treated that way. The passengers on the plane should be ashamed of themselves. And this is why we need shows like Miss Marvel. Okay, so I'm no, I'm tangents all over the place. I told y'all I was going to be all over the place. I got to take some comments out of here because I don't particularly like what they had to say. So, okay, Reinhardt said, "Okay, Tasha, yesterday at the theater, and I'm at the beach, and it's 4th of July week. We did 1,700 people for Minions. Woo! That's not counting Top Gun or Jurassic World or any other movie, just Minions, huh?" So yeah, Minions is doing its thing. People are supporting this particular movie, and I'm trying to see. I got to find what it is stateside, what they're talking about, because what I gave you guys just a second ago was the worldwide situation. Um, Let me see. Minions: The Rise of Gru. Minions: The Rise of Gru. Universal Illuminations' Minions: The Rise of Gru is lighting up the global and international box office, set to be the current frame's #1 film domestically, overseas, and worldwide through Sunday. Gru and the crew are now out in 61 offshore markets, having released early in Australia. Let me see what we're the estimated worldwide cum through Sunday is eyed at 202.16 million. Of that, overseas is expected to rep 92.7 million. Wow. Wow. So the other 100 something million is coming from us here. So that's what's up. That is what's up. Let me see. Reinhardt said, "I didn't know what the partition was either, Tasha. I'm very sad to say I learned about that on Doctor Who because one of his companions' family is from Pakistan originally, but she grew up in Sheffield." Okay. Ooh, you know what? I really hate it's July 2nd and people are already blowing these bombs. My cats get all excited and scared, and it's just a hot mess. I hate it. I hate this time of year because the minute I fall asleep, they're going to start blowing firecrackers right in my ear. Okay, rant over. Clarence says, "I had no idea that Michelle Yeoh was in Minions. She's killing it." Absolutely. It's like everywhere you turn. As a matter of fact, you know how there are people who say, okay, which uh actor is the leading into as far as money is going uh for the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is Michelle Yeoh. If it isn't Michelle Yeoh, though, that's what I mean. Because Michelle Yeoh has been in some projects that are huge, that had no business being as huge as they were, and they're huge. So yeah, Michelle Yeoh might be leading the box off or leading as far as being a box office draw, and that of course makes negotiations when she is asked or wants to do other projects start at a whole different number, you know. So good for her. Good for her. I didn't know she was in Rise of Gru either, because I haven't seen any of these Minions movies. Reinhardt said, Tasha, the people who are coming to see this movie is everybody. We got families coming to see it. We got teenagers coming to see it. We got adult couples with no kids coming to see it. We got older people. Wow. So that is good. Glad to hear it. That it is a, what do you say, a universal audience for this thing. Good. So I'm going to find out more as far as what this movie continues to do before we start getting into Thor: Love and Thunder, because I'm almost certain that that's what's going to top the box office next week. But I'm going to keep my eye on Minions because this is a long weekend as well for the box office. Yeah. David said, you're doing a good job wrangling this forum. No worries. And I saw the deletes before you squashed them. Good job. Thank you. Because yeah, people say some horrible stuff when they ain't got to say it right in your face, you know. And Claire said that's one of the best Shibnal. I don't know how to say that. That's the guy that was the showrunner, right? But I can't say that. You got somebody put it phonetically there for me. Episodes of Doctor Who. I haven't watched any. I don't think I've watched anything with the new Doctor, Jodie Whittaker. I still haven't, and I don't have HBO Max anymore because money. So so I'm gonna have to wait to see it. Yeah. So yeah, I was talking about that Gru and all of that. That was wonderful. Wonderful that it is doing so well. And I didn't, just like Clarence said, I didn't know that Michelle Yeoh was part of that cast as well. So Michelle Yeoh is winning. She's winning. The Full Monty star, Hugo Spear. This is a Disney Plus show, which I always thought the Full Monty was something a little bit more grown up. But okay, the Full Monty star Hugo Spear got sacked from the show by Disney Plus after allegations of inappropriate conduct. And I guess we are still not learning that there's a way to comport yourself. And whatever you did, sir, it must have been outside of what people are expecting from you, because that was you got fired from a show called The Full Monty, which for being inappropriate. How bad does it have to be for that to happen? So this is our actor that we're talking about, Hugo Spear. So let's read this article. Hugo Spear, star of Disney Plus's upcoming Full Monty reboot, has been removed from the show by the streamer after allegations of inappropriate conduct. Spear, who played Guy in the original and was reprising the role alongside the likes of Robert Carlyle and Leslie Sharp, will no longer feature in the TV reboot. Disney Plus said it has been made aware of allegations of inappropriate conduct by Hugo Spear on a set of a commissioned production. As is policy, an investigation was launched. Upon its completion, the decision was made to terminate his contract with immediate effect, added the statement. So we don't know of course, he's saying he's denying these allegations. He said he will be challenging these allegations, but as for right now, he's out of it. He's out of the Full Monty. And again, I don't know what the Full Monty. I thought that was a dirty show anyway. But anywho, Reinhardt says, "Oh yeah, Clarence made me cry. Anybody who likes Doctor Who, or even if you don't, should watch that episode. I learned more in that one episode about the partition between India and Pakistan. There were literally families that became enemies and families that were torn apart. It's very sad. And Clarence says, agreed, Reinhardt. That's when Doctor Who was at its best, when it teaches you about history. Yes. Yes. It just at least gives you, I think any show that at least gives you the curiosity to try to find out something, it has more than done its job. If it plants that seed of, I want to know more about this. Uh, and yeah, I've seen it at times in Doctor Who when I was a more steady watcher. I've seen it at times in Star Trek, of course, because Star Trek is my baby. And I've seen it at times in these Marvel shows. Um, and I think that it would be, if it's not always uh, aimed at teaching me. Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that had its messages. Hawkeye had its messages. You get what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying. I ain't got understood. Don't have to be explained. So yeah, but that was pretty bad. This guy, you blew it. You fumbled your bag, as the young folks say. You are not going to be in full Monty. Y'all know what I heard? That is kind of y'all remember the movie The Wood, or have you heard of the movie The Wood? And let me tell you, I'm very familiar with The Wood because that was one of my son's favorite coming of age kind of movies. He loved The Wood. So that was one of his faves. And they're making a series on Showtime about the Wood. It's going to have Vince Staples and the original stars from the movie, Richard T. Jones and Tamala Jones. So those are going to be some familiar faces. I'm going to show you those familiar faces. But yeah, we're talking about The Wood coming back as a series. And yeah, I'm here for it. I'm ready to see. So, a Showtime's comedy pilot based on the 1999 film The Wood has set its main cast, Variety has learned, exclusively. So, it'll be Vince Staples, Xavier Mills, Kieran Oberlin, Melvin Gregg, and Essence Renee will star in the pilot, with Richard T. Jones and Tamala Jones set to reprise their roles as Slim and Tanya, respectively, from the film. I liked the movie. I can't say that I'm going to enjoy this spin-off series, but I wouldn't be averse to giving it a try and seeing if it's something that I can get behind. As long as they do it and it's not, let's just be as stupid as we possibly can in this comedy plot. I can watch it. David said the partition was described well in Gandhi. And this is before Gandhi came out, before I was watching grown up movies. I was still like, oh no, that's too serious for me. I need to go back and revisit some of the movies that I didn't watch because I was like, that's too grown up. That's too serious. I like Gandhi, Evita, what's the Schindler's List. There's a lot of movies that I didn't watch because I knew that the subject matter was going to be heavy. And I was like, am I really in the mood for heavy? And a lot of times I wasn't. Yes. Now I didn't hear it myself, Clarence, but I think I must have read it somewhere that there will possibly be some Klingons in season 2 of Strange New World. So I'm gonna have to watch that Ready Room, see what else I missed out on by not watching it. But I did hear that by reading. I read somewhere that the Klingons will be making their triumphant return. Now, tomorrow, unless it's like a freaking shit show over here with the fireworks and company, I know other people are celebrating the holiday and they're having big fun doing it. I usually just sit at home. I don't like all the noise and stuff. So anywho, if I come on tomorrow and I'm not bombarded with all the noise outside, we can talk a little bit more about Strange New Worlds and some of the things that we have seen happen. And if you're for it, because there are a lot of people, of course, we can't please everybody, but there are a lot of people who are having uh, a little bit of a hissy fit, a little bit of a hissy fit about the fact that some of these characters have been changed. And in my opinion, a lot of the changes have been for the better. But we'll talk about it more tomorrow. That'll give you a good little a little sneak peek of what our conversation might be about tomorrow. Uh, Clara said, hopefully they can extend on the Enterprise storyline and tie it in with Disco. Yes, yes, and we talked. And I know I talked about crossovers way back in Picard, but I'm also hearing Sonequa Martin Green saying that she is hoping that there will be some crossover, and I'm wondering what series she could there could be a crossover with. And the only one that I can think of is if they find some way to move back and forward through time again and find themselves back in the same era with Strange New Worlds Enterprise. So, or if they decide that they are going to start doing a TOS reboot, which I'm here for. I don't know if anybody else is. Give me a little bit more. We should have gotten seven seasons of TOS. So go ahead and give me 4 more. I'll be here for it. So you guys, let me know what you're thinking. Dave said you'll like Gandhi, inspiring more ups and downs. Good. I'm gonna have to try it because like I said, I wasn't always a grown up. Sometimes I did a lot of little kid stuff, and grown up movies just didn't appeal to me. I think my which cup is now the official cup of after the snap until I get tired of drinking out of it. Reinhardt said, I bet you guys are going to go back to the standard Klingon look since the other one didn't work out and just kind of pretend that never happened. Um, I don't I don't know. Because I still feel like there can be all of these Klingons. Just like we are on a planet and we don't all look the same. You know what I mean? So there could be different looks to different areas of where with the Klingons. So, and I know that it was not canon before, but it can be like we are working that into canon. You're going to have different looks. You're going to have some with the human look because of the eugenics thing, right? We're going to have some with that human look. Then we can have some that look like the ones on Disco. Then we can have some that look like the ones that we are the most familiar with from TNG on. I think it could work. I think it could work. And Clarence says they explicitly mentioned breaking canon on purpose in Ready Room. Yes, they know exactly what they're doing, and they're doing what they're doing. If it's serving the story, go ahead, knock it out. If it's just to be doing something, then no, don't change nothing. But if it is in service to the story, keep on doing it. I'm here for it. Hey, Jedi says, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. I hope I'm saying it right, but I'm glad you've joined us again today. Thanks for being here. So yeah, but I'm here 100% for making these changes and giving us again a show that is representative of the special effects, of the uh costuming, of the cosmetic department, all of this stuff. We're getting a show that is making use of everything that we have to our avail right now. Now, I understand we were hamstrung in the 60s, which I was, don't put me that, I wasn't there yet. But when the original series of first run, their first airing, they were hamstrung by the technology of their time. And they did a hell of a job with the technology that they had at that time. But as technology improves, these futuristic shows, these space shows set 4, 5, 600 years in the future, they have to change as well. So I agree. Let's break canon and let's make things a little more update for the times that we're in. Reinhardt said, I'm okay with that too. I love what Leonard Nimoy said. Instead of worrying about where Star Trek's been, worry about where Star Trek is will take me. Yeah, I can agree with that. Leonard Nimoy is like, I love him. I loved him. Now, David said they threw me off with disco. Then I'm like, oh, Discovery. Yeah, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, and I never got my disco shirt. I need to get one of those. But yeah, uh, there's a lot there's a lot to like with where things are going, and I'm truly looking forward to finishing off. Hopefully we don't even got to worry about sticking the landing, because if Strange New Worlds last episode of this season is a complete flop, it would be the first episode that was a complete flop. So um, I have faith that we will see another stellar episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds this week. I'm looking forward to it. Um, what else can we talk about? Oh, Reinhardt said, Tasha, I know it's been a while. I have not forgot about your pops. I got them in the box. I honestly just forgot, and I apologize. No worry, sir. When somebody is giving you a gift, you can't be in no hurry for it. Just got to be happy that you're getting something, and I'm happy. Clara says, Strange New World and season 5 of Disco is shooting right now. That's what's up. So I bet you, could we be getting that crossover? They're shooting at the same time. Could we be getting that crossover? So if not, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna rack my brain, because Disco is the show that makes me rack my brain. Uh, so hopefully this season I can relax a little bit more. I can relax a little bit more and not get myself all trying to figure things out. I have to be 2 steps ahead. I've never been able to just enjoy the moment until Strange New Worlds. I have been able to enjoy the moment every week with this show. Hey Dreamwalker said, to the last 10 minutes of or so of episode 8, I thought it was a flop. Episode, yeah, I didn't like episode 8, the Elysian Kingdom. I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. I felt like it was it was a strong start. I got kind of lost in the middle. And then towards the end, I felt like it was a very strong ending as well. And so, yeah, everything is not going to be for everybody. But overall, I think they have done a good job uh, with this first season. This first season, pretty good to me. It's pretty good. Dreamwalker said, "Strange New World season 2 just finished shooting, right? Let me see. I'm gonna pull it up, but I said Clarence says it may have, but we're gonna just be sure. Strange New World. Uh, Reinhardt also says they already leaked the photo where they were shooting in Canada with Strange New Worlds and Paul Wesley as James T. Kirk, and he's in an embrace with La'an. Oh, okay. Um, so yeah, this next episode is going to be called "A Quality of Mercy." So that. So let me see. Nope, it's not giving me a date. It says Strange New Worlds premiered on Paramount Plus on May 5th. We know that. Its first 10 episode season is running through July 7th. It's received positive reviews from critics for its episodic storytelling approach and cast. A second season is in production and is expected to premiere in 2023. I'm looking forward to season 2, Strange New Worlds. And I got you, Reinhardt. I understood. Dreamwalker said, overall, it's the best new Trek season. I think it's the best first season of any Trek, besides Prodigy. And we're not even through with Prodigy. So, they got 10 episodes to hurt my feelings, but I don't think that they will. I think this Strange New Worlds is the best live action first season of any Trek. And I think that Prodigy is the first animated series that was just stellar. It's the best. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. You in Houston, Dreamwalker? That's you. You out here by me. Which one you at? You at Bush or you at Hobby? You said you're catching my stream during the layover at Houston Airport, coming home from my vacation. You just now getting home too? Reinhardt said, same old Kirk, right? Yeah, got to be hugged up with somebody, huh? Claire says, well, we'll probably get Lower Decks, Prodigy, then Picard next. I'm not even, I am not as excited for Picard as I probably should be. I'm more excited for Disco season 5, to be quite honest. But I'm not going to be a jerk about it. I'm ready to see the gang get back together and all of that, but we shall see. Clarence also said Prodigy is currently running on Nickelodeon proper. Yes, yeah. So now the kiddies can sit down and on their own watch Prodigy on Nickelodeon. I hope that it takes off on that platform as well. Yeah, that was something I just saw too. David said, if it wasn't for you all, I wouldn't know what was going on in the Star Trek world. Thanks. Looking forward to catching up. Well, we are glad to be here for you. And Dreamwalker is at the big airport, Bush. Okay, you right, like 15 minutes away from me. Ain't that some ish? If I left out the house, it would be I'd come up there to see you. Reinhardt said, Clarence, I think Prodigy we're getting first because we only had half the first season and then Lower Decks. I could be wrong though. And Dreamwalker said, yep, I had a 10-day vacation. I hit Chicago, St. Louis, and my hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana. Oh, you did a little tour, huh? Good for you. Hopefully you did get some rest, relaxation, and be ready to hit it, huh? Ready to get back home. So yeah, as Clarence said, that production has wrapped on Star Trek Strange New Worlds season 2. And let's see, the first season finale of Star Trek only arrives this week, but they've already wrapped up shooting for the next one. Confirmation that the Toronto-based production had finished work on season 2 of Strange New Worlds first came from producer-director Chris Fisher. He sent out a tweet Friday morning announcing it and thanking the cast and crew and the city of Toronto. Writer producer Bill Wolkoff showed how the AR wall got turned into a virtual party in the engineering set to celebrate the completion of filming. How about that? So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on. I thought we would see this Kirk in the next episode, but they're saying season 2, and I'm gonna just take them at their word. Claire says that Reinhardt made a good point about Prodigy probably coming first. Reinhardt says to Dreamwalker he always wanted to visit Louisiana. Dreamwalker said, hit it like Pike. Good one. Yeah, hit it. And Dreamwalker Blues Country Tour. Sounds like fun. And drink some more water. Let's see, was there anything else? Okay, Clara says having the AR walk in Strange New Worlds has been amazing. The AR wall, I'm sorry, the AR wall in Strange New Worlds has been amazing. They did a better job with it than Discovery. It does. Everything does look really beautiful, and you know what? I'm not gonna compare no more. 'Cause y'all know I have been being mean. I have been being mean, but I'm not gonna keep beating the dead horse about why other shows are not able to, if this can be done by Prodigy, if this can be done by Strange New Worlds, it can be done across the board. So let's get it. And just like we talked about before the season, I think it was a point that Clarence made. Do we think that Strange or that Discovery is feeling some kind of pressure? And they say no, but the fact that this question keeps coming up, there's some pressure. There's some pressure to now up your game, to match the energy and enthusiasm from the fans that we got in Strange New Worlds. I think we are going to see at least an attempt of being far more polished with Disco this season. Um, Reinhardt said, "Tasha, I got an app telling me when to hydrate. It isn't that sad how dependent we've gotten. We need an app to tell us when to drink water. You know what? I usually I drink water all day. So I'm really good about water, really good. What's happened to me lately, I don't drink soda, pop, whatever y'all call it, cool drink. It depends on the region that you're in, what you call it. I don't drink pop. But I have found myself starting to go back to like the sweet juices, which would be like the Tropicana lemonade or the Simply lemonade and the Simply strawberry lemonade and all them Simply mango. I've been drinking a lot of that, and I'm like, I need to stop because those just empty calories. Um, Water has served me well. So I'm gonna keep. I know that there are other people I know too that are, especially ones who are trying to drink that gallon of water a day. It's usually to me about 4 or 5 of these cups a day, and I know that I've had enough water. Claire said also seeing puppeteering in Star Trek was pretty cool too. What was puppeteering? Tell me, make me understand, sir. Um, Oh, shucks. Claire said they are just learning how to use the AR wall, though. Disco has traditionally done more on real life location, but Strange New World, Ice Planet with the ship in the background was just spectacular. Uh, David says, if you see me without a bottle of water in my hand, something is wrong. uh, Clarence, Reinhardt says, I agree with you, Clarence. It did look amazing, but The Mandalorian was the first show I think I ever watched that used the AR wall. That's the first time I ever heard of it. I'm looking here where they said Star Trek Productions added it in October of 2020. So, it is a relatively new technology. And again, that technology is making the show look that much more crisp and beautiful. I did notice how immersive it felt. Actually, I felt like I was a part of the elements that we found ourselves in, especially in this ice episode. So yeah, uh, This was from October 2020. It said the Star Trek universe was going virtual, and they showed that going on location was pretty tough in the height of the COVID pandemic era, and they were able to do this thing digitally. So I think it was beautiful, and I hope to see more of it. You might as well use it. It does cut down a little bit on the costs, I would think, of shooting these shows. Um, Dreamwalker said, "I love the Ice Planet. Very fitting for Hammer." Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, I'm not going. We're going to talk about it tomorrow because Lord. um, David said, "Okay, I give. What's an AR wall?" Okay, I'm glad you asked. The AR wall is a let me It is a cutting edge special visual effect aid. It's one of the latest technological innovations. And let me see, it makes location shooting. No, I'm skipping. AR walls were a new in studio production technique using gaming engine technology combined with wall size screens of LEDs to create virtual environments that react to camera movements. So, using AR walls can create superior visual effects, which we have noticed in all of the shows really that I've watched that were using it, starting with the Star Trek shows and the Mandalorian and all of those shows, Boba Fett, all of them. Okay, so using AR walls can create superior visual effects and allow the actors to actually see the environments instead of green screens. So it actually it's a marker. It helps the actor as well, which is great. And in many cases, these LED walls can replace the need to go on location. Like that's just like what I just said. The technology has been used in some recent Disney projects, including the Disney Plus Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, which picked up Emmys this year in both visual effects and cinematography. So again, this was an article from, I think it was from 2020. So this is a 2-year old article. Um, the it's being used quite a bit more, and you're going to see a difference in what the effects look like with our especially with our shows that have these locations, beautiful locations. Dreamwalker, got to catch this spaceship before it goes to warp. Live long and prosper, sir. You have yourself a safe trip. And David said that's very cool about the AR wall. So yeah. Um, Another thing, and this has nothing to do with Star Trek or anything else, I don't think, but it does have to do with TikTok. Now, I'm not a huge TikTok. I like it. There's like times that I get myself and I fall down a rabbit hole, but it's not a platform that I really like. There is one guy, and I think he does the reels on Instagram and Facebook. His name is Terrell Green. Now, I love him, but other than that, I don't have to have TikTok. But do you know they're calling TikTok a national security risk? TikTok is a national security risk, and it has been requested to be removed to remove this app from the Apple and Google stores. Do you know how many people will go through kinds of withdrawals and everything if they remove TikTok from Apple and Google Plus store? I mean, the Google stores. So I'm going to talk about TikTok for just a second. It's the latest social media platform to come under the scrutiny of U.S. lawmakers, with Republican senators and a regulator both arguing that the app poses a national security risk. The Guardian reports that 9 Republican senators this week issued a letter to TikTok following a report by BuzzFeed last month, claiming that employees of ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, were able to access private data of American users from their work locations in China. And you know that they don't want China having a lot of information and the such about Americans. The Guardian also added that a Republican member of the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, also requested chief executives of Apple and Google to remove TikTok from its app stores while the issue is ongoing. TikTok is like, no, we are working with the Biden administration on an agreement that would fully safeguard user data and U.S. national security interests. So it sounds to me uh, like it was a national security risk. Um, and it wouldn't bother me if TikTok went the way of MySpace, but I am not a TikTok user. I know there are people who who are far more addicted to the platform than I am. So there's that. Um, Stranger Things, the the uh the last part of this fourth season of Stranger Things came out yesterday. I watched both of those episodes, and okay, we got another cliffhanger ending. I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing wraps up in season 5 because that is the final season. My understanding is that they will be aging our characters up in season 5. Um, the ones who survived it to make it to season 5 will be aged up and to probably close to the ages that they are in reality. And I don't know what year that would make the show set in, but yeah, they did a thing. But I guess I'm saying all of that because seven all 32 episodes of the show racked up 7.2 billion minutes of streaming from May 30th to June 5th. That listen that all 32 episodes racked up 7.2 billion minutes of streaming from May 30th to June 5th. That's the most of any title since Nielsen began tracking streaming in 2020, soaring well above the previous record established by Netflix's The Tiger King in March 2020. The final 2 episodes went live, and it's actually it's going to give it even more of a boost. So yes, but again, it's going to end after season 5. It is going to be expanded. There, that world will be expanded though via spinoffs. So everybody said bye to Dreamwalker, and then we say hello to Thomas. Hi, Thomas. And then David says, "I don't like TikTok, but a risk." And I'm guessing it's a risk because over there in China they have the a lot of information on Americans and their habits and the way they do things, and a lot of data. And imagine if Russia, if they did what they did with data about American people during that election cycle for 2 election cycles actually. When Russia did that, imagine what China could do. You know, uh, so I don't know, and I'm not going to try to beat beat TikTok up. It's just mindless drivel to me. A lot of it. Now I know sometimes there's somebody who really has something to say, but for the most part, I'm like, you know, it's just people being silly, doing silly shit, or talking silly stuff, saying silly things, and I'm like, I got enough of that energy in my life. Um, because I'm silly at times. Like I watched my first verses last weekend, and if you didn't know, verses is where you pit two artists who are similar, musical artists who are similar against one another, and they get on stage and they battle it out, see who is the better artist in their particular genre, right? So in this last one, it was Omarion and Mario, and it was no contest. This was my first time watching it. It was pure chaos. I will probably never watch another one, but this one was so terrible. I could not. I couldn't believe, because Mario could really sing and Omarion was just there. So okay, I said all that to say there was a lot of foolishness that came out around that particular verses, which is A, what made me watch it, and B, uh, I wanted to understand what the silliness was about, what these people were talking about. So I watched it. Um, the people's comments and thoughts on it were very silly. And then I'm like, okay, I've had enough of silliness. I can't continue to wallow in silliness all day, every day. Um, then there was the BET Awards. I did not watch the BET Awards, but they were talking about a performance. I did watch one performance that was by that Chloe Bailey. She did a heck of a job. She put me in the mind of Beyonce. But anywho, um, Lil Kim. Little Kim comes out and she does her performance. And of course, every time Lil Kim resurfaces, people want to talk about her appearance. And really, I don't really get off on talking about people's physical features. I'm not saying that I never did, but I'm like, people can find a whole lot of stuff to complain about the way I look. Everything ain't for everybody. And if you have to resort to talking about a person's appearance, then you don't have another leg to stand on. You don't have anything else to debate or argue on. So you take it to something as base as someone's appearance. But okay, say that this is my thoughts. There have been so many people who have talked about this woman, Lil Kim, about her appearance. And that's meaning that she had a lot of cosmetic surgery, obviously. Um, and I read an article that kind of delved into why she had this surgery. Even though it shouldn't even matter, what she does to her face or her body should not matter to me. In fact, does not matter to me. But some of her surgeries that she had done to her face were kind of reconstructive because she was in an abusive relationship where she would get things fixed after, he broke her jaw, he broke her nose, she got her nose fixed, he hit her in the nose again. So these kinds of things. And until she realized, hey, this man is eventually going to kill me and I have to get out of this situation. Until she got there, she had to keep fixing what he broke. That should make people feel really bad. If it doesn't, if it doesn't, then that person doesn't have the least bit of empathy or heart about themselves. Because if that woman, if that's true, and that is why at least some of that plastic surgery was done, leave her alone. But yeah, I'll get real when we talk about real people like they are just cartoon characters. It just bothers me. David, oh, you were saying you never thought of it like that. The TikTok in China. Yeah, they are, I guess, collecting information. They could collect information on American citizens the same way that the Russians knew who to how to bombard who with political propaganda. I guess they don't want the same thing to happen with China. Um, so yeah, outside of that, let me see. Do you guys have any other things to talk about? Questions, comments, concerns? Oh, I talked about the wood. Also, we're going to have a Best Man series. If you guys remember the movie The Best Man, and then they had the Best Man Holiday, and now this is supposed to be the final Best Man. It's going to be a series, and it's going to come out on Peacock on December 22nd of this year. So we've got that. And that pretty much covers what I wanted to cover today. So does anybody, if nobody else has anything, I'm gonna scoot on out of here, go find me something to eat. Um, but if you do have something, speak now or forever hold your peace. And if it's not loud and noisy and scary around here tomorrow, I'll be back to talk about Ms. Marvel, to talk about a little bit about the boys. I know everybody's not watching the boys because it is something else. So the boys and what else did I say? Strange New Worlds, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, Ms. Marvel, and the boys. Just a little bit on the boys. What you say? What is Freak Brothers? I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about. What is Freak Brothers? You're gonna make me look it up. The Freak Brothers. That's an animated series. Oh, oh, roll one up with the freaks. Yes. I never heard of it, but I might have to look into it. All right. And thank you. Thank you, David. You have a great weekend as well. Hopefully everybody who wants to can join me here tomorrow for our talk about our series. And if not, you will see me again soon. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.